Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're jumping right into the world of Azure Data Engineering. We're going to break down how businesses take this just chaotic flood of raw data and turn it into the kind of clear, actionable insights that actually drive decisions. Okay, so let's start with the big question, right? This is the core problem for pretty much every modern company. You've got customer info in one system, product details in another, sales records over here, website clicks over there. It's everywhere. So how in the world do you connect all those dots to see the big picture? Well, to even begin to answer that, we first have to understand the environment where all of this magic happens. We need to talk about the foundation for any modern data solution, the cloud. So what is the cloud, really? Let's just forget the jargon for a second. At its simplest, it's like renting computing services from a massive global provider like Microsoft Azure. Instead of buying and maintaining your own physical servers in a back room, you just rent what you need, when you need it, right over the internet. Now, the cloud gives you different ways to rent these services, and we can break it down into three main categories. First, you can rent the absolute basic hardware, the servers, the storage. That's called infrastructure as a service. At the other end, you can rent a completely finished application, like a ticket booking website. That's software as a service. Or you can rent something right in the middle, a ready-made platform to build your own solutions on without worrying about the hardware. That's platform as a service, or PaaS. And that is exactly where tools like Azure Data Factory live. Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful cloud environment at our fingertips. But what's the specific data problem that businesses are using it to solve? It really comes down to this: having way too much information, but not nearly enough insight. And this slide just perfectly illustrates that core conflict. On the left, you've got OLTP, or transactional systems. Just think of these as the cash registers of a business. They are built to do one thing really well: quickly record single transactions, one after another. On the right, you have OLAP, or analytical systems. These are like the business intelligence headquarters, designed to analyze massive amounts of historical data to find trends and patterns. You can't ask a cash register to give you a 10-year sales forecast, right? They're just fundamentally different tools for different jobs. And that's the crucial point. Those day-to-day transactional systems have some serious limitations when it comes to analysis. They often can't store more than 10 terabytes or so. They usually only keep recent information, not the decades of history you need to spot a real trend. And man, trying to run a massive, complex query on them, it would slow the whole system to a crawl, and you'd be interfering with actual customer transactions. So a totally new approach is needed. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get from all that fragmented, raw transaction data to unified, powerful business insight? The answer is what we call the modern data pipeline. The very first stop in this pipeline is a concept called the data lake. I want you to imagine a massive reservoir where you can pour all of your data from every single source system: customer data, product data, website clicks, you name it. It all gets stored there in its original, untouched, raw format, just ready for whatever you need to do with it later. Now, the engine that powers this whole pipeline is a process called ELT. It's really just three simple steps. First, you extract the raw data from all those different transactional systems. Second, you load it directly into your cloud data lake as is. And then, and this is key, only then, once all the data is sitting together in one powerful, centralized place, do you transform it. That's when you clean it, combine it, and shape it into a nice, structured format that's perfect for analysis. And this is a huge shift from the older ETL process, where you had to transform the data before you loaded it. By loading first, this modern ELT approach uses the incredible power of the cloud to run those transformations super fast. Plus, and this is a big one, you keep a perfect copy of the original raw data in your data lake, which is just invaluable for other uses down the road, like training AI and machine learning models. And at the end of the day, that's the whole point. You're taking individual, messy records, like a single customer order, and you're transforming them into aggregated, meaningful intelligence that can answer big questions like, what are our top-selling products in the Northeast during the holidays? So you might be wondering, what's the tool that actually manages this whole extract, load, and transform process? Well, in the Azure world, that tool is Azure Data Factory. You can think of it as the conductor of the entire data orchestra. To put it simply, Azure Data Factory, or ADF, is the cloud service that makes all of this happen. It's the connective tissue. It's what pulls data from all your sources, lands it safely in the data lake, and manages all those complex transformations, all in an automated, scalable way. But of course, there are other tools out there that do similar things. So why do so many organizations choose Azure Data Factory specifically? Let's get into the key advantages. The value of ADF really comes down to 4 key things. First, because it's cloud-based, you're not managing servers at all. You get to focus on your data logic, not on patching operating systems. Second, it's a pay-as-you-go model. If you don't run any pipelines, you don't pay anything. Simple as that. Third, you get incredible availability. Your data is automatically protected and ready to go, even if there's some kind of outage. And maybe most importantly, it's a no-code or low-code platform. You can build these really complex data pipelines using a visual drag-and-drop interface, which makes it accessible to so many more people. So, let me leave you with this final thought. We always hear that phrase, right? Data is the new oil. But oil in its raw, crude form isn't all that useful. It has to be refined. The processes and tools we've just talked about, well, they're the modern refinery. So the real question is, what valuable insights are still buried deep in your systems, just waiting to be brought to the surface?